Hey everyone, this is Theresa Hegel, Executive Editor of Special Projects and Sustainability at ASI.
And this is Cassie Green, Content Director of Apparelist and Editor at Printing United Alliance. And you're listening to Branding Together, a new adventure into the converging worlds of print and promo.
We're here to bring you an engaging monthly discussion that dissects just how closely each of these industries align. Whether you're a promotional products distributor, commercial printer, apparel decorator, or a little bit of everything, our topics and guests will bring the ultimate crossover conversation.
When you're ready to bring your business to the next level, get lost in this month's episode, which is set to happen in 3, 2, 1.
Well, welcome everybody to what I personally feel is a very exciting project. We're introducing and launching Branding Together, which is a brand new podcast that's all about the convergence of the printing and promo industries. Of course, earlier in 2024, Printing United Alliance and ASI announced a new partnership, which I just think makes so much sense. We're seeing so much convergence in the industry. So we are here to talk about that, to bring industries together. My name is Cassie Green. For those of you who don't know me, I am the content director for Apparelist and also an editor for Printing United Alliance. And my co-host, Theresa, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to echo first that I think this is a great partnership. And I love that we're working together on a podcast together, because that just exemplifies what we're trying to do. So I am Theresa Hegel. I am the executive editor for Special Projects and Sustainability at ASI. I've been with the company for almost 11 years now. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. Definitely not everything, but I know a little bit. So I think we'll have a lot of fun, talking about both of our industries and, what we each bring to the table, where we kind of align, where we are a little bit different, I guess, but just, coming up with all of these different areas where there's just so many opportunities, I think, both for print and for promo.
Yeah, totally agree. And then I also, like, on a personal note, find it kind of funny. Theresa and I are both sustainability warriors, which I absolutely love. So my guess is that topic's going to come up from time to time, but hey, we are going to talk about other stuff too.
Of course.
So yeah, awesome. Well, just a little background about the partnership. So for anybody listening to this podcast that missed that announcement, it was pretty big. Am I right, Theresa? Because
we shook the industry, both industries.
Right, absolutely. There's always been this natural convergence. Printers are doing promotional products. Promotional products people operate within the printing industry, but I feel like it's never been truly defined.
Yeah. Well, I think, and sometimes we both speak slightly different languages. We'll be talking about the same thing, but we'll have a different word for it than you guys do. So I think it makes a lot of sense to put everyone on kind of the same page and sort of figure out where we're saying the same things or where we're doing things differently. So
yes. Absolutely. Yeah, that's something we notice a ton is like we'll listen to printers talking about what they do, and we're like, yeah, no, actually you are doing promotional products. You just don't necessarily realize it.
Yeah. So I think that kind of brings us to the main segment for this show. We're going to do this show monthly, but for this first one, we kind of just wanted to introduce ourselves, introduce the industry, and each of us kind of came up with 5 big things that we think print should know about promo and promo should know about print. Mm-hmm. So I'll start with my first one because I think we're already sort of talking about it. So for printers, like, you are probably already in promo, whether you know it or not, right? Because there's already a lot of cross-selling between the industries. Apparelist itself, like, apparel is one of the hugest areas of the promotional products industry. T-shirts, polos, all of that stuff. So you're already there. And if you realize that you are not already there, then maybe you really need to be, because if you're not part of that trend, you might be falling behind. So you're already there. And if you're not, you should be, basically.
Right. Like, it's as simple as thinking you have a customer, you're an apparel decorator, you come in, you have a customer who's like, hey, put a logo on a t-shirt. Here you go. There it is. Yeah. Even if you're, a wide format printer, you need to do some signage or things like that. Like, we're already doing it, right? So that's a really interesting point, and kind of actually brings me to point number 1 for our side of the industry, the printing industry. And I am going to talk about obviously all printers, we are going to focus on commercial printing, wide format printing, packaging printing. But for the sake of this conversation, kind of talking about that apparel side, is the apparel decorating industry is incredibly creative with lots of, art and design talents and things like that. And many are already working with other, doing contract printing, working with distributors and doing these third party partnerships in an effort to, really create the best promotional apparel out there. So that's one thing is to understand is like there are tons of third party partnerships and contract decorating partnerships and all these things already going on. It's likely that many apparel decorators already have this type of business. That I guess that would be my point number one.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. So then to move on to my second point, you know more than you think as a printer. You already know more about promo than you think you do. Because, a lot of the same things kind of follow through. So like print on demand, you probably know about that. That's important to promo. The properties of different materials, whether it's like fabric or other kind of substrates, color registration, inks, digital printing, all of that information that you need to know to get like that perfect print on whatever you're printing. That's what, promo people need to know. They might not be, doing those prints, but they need to know what to tell their, decorator, how to get that perfect color, the PMS matching and all that stuff. So you kind of already have a good basis for getting into promo because of what you do every day.
Oh, absolutely. And that is, I could not create a more perfect connection to our point number two, because that is something I don't want to call it a pain point, but I definitely want to, bring to light this communication between promo people and print people, right? And that's something we notice and we hear from our audiences across the board in all of the print verticals is the manufacturers, the suppliers, the printers, the print service providers, however you want to classify them, they want distributors to turn in very thorough purchase orders. And so as you were saying, Theresa, and I find that really interesting, making sure you're communicating things like PMS color matching, because that is very important to logos and brands,
Right.
obviously, right? And
Oak red
so
needs to be oak red, right?
right, exactly. Like you can't have a Coca-Cola order with the wrong kind of red. I mean, people are going to notice instantly, right? So those are the things that really need to be communicated to your printer and to your contract decorator, whomever you're working with. Oftentimes, or just sometimes, purchase orders can come in incomplete, and that kind of creates like a little sticking point with the relationship or with the communication. So, making sure that all of the details are included is a really important piece of this natural partnership.
Yeah. Okay, so for my next point, I wanted to talk just sort of about promo scope because even though you guys are sort of in it already, I feel like sometimes the promo industry kind of flies under the radar. Like for instance, like when I before I started, way back many years ago, I had gotten pens, I'd gotten promo items. Never in a million years would it have occurred to me that there's a whole industry devoted to the people who sell these things. You know what I mean? Like it's like just something you get and appreciate, but you don't really think about like where does this come from? Who's doing this? Um, and so I believe like the latest numbers we have right now, it's the promo industry is like a $26.1 billion industry.
Ooh.
Um, and I'm sure we're going to be updating that soon now that we're into 2025. So we'll get the 2024 numbers soon, but the latest numbers is 26.1 billion. And as I mentioned before, wearables are kind of the biggest category. I think overall is like 40%, something like that. But t-shirts alone are like 17% of sales in the promo industry. Then drinkware, of course, like Stanley's and Owala and all the ones that look sort of like them. Polos, caps, headwear, bags, all that stuff, some of which, people in the print world are already doing. And then as far as the top markets for promo sales, education, like 3.6 billion, I think in our latest figures, healthcare, construction, there's a whole bunch of, obviously niche markets, but they're buying promo, but of course they also have print needs too. So, I just think there's a lot of business in markets you're already servicing to add the promo on or to add the print on, depending on kind of where your starting point is.
Right. And what's interesting about this is that the technology already exists. We're not saying by no means do you have to go out and purchase all this new equipment, all these new things. You don't have, what you're investing is your time and your energy into a greater business ROI on both ends. And so that's, I think that point that you just made, Theresa, cannot be emphasized enough, because it's, you're not going out and popping hundreds of thousands of dollars on like this new equipment as a printer to help build, your promotional product client relationships. I mean, printers already have this technology. And that's my third big point, is what printers do need, again, is just that investment of time and understanding of the promo industry and what it is the distributors need from the printer, right? And so that's really what it is. But what a small drop in the bucket, small price to pay for an area of growth and massive revenue. I mean, when you say billion with a B, come on now. Who wants to turn away that money? It's
Right.
so easy. It's almost crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think your point is kind of was actually the same one that I was going to make, is that you don't need to invest in new equipment to get started. I mean, and I think we've talked about this before, just with the Printing United people, that your audience always thinks, oh, I can throw a new machine at this problem, right? And
Great.
that works sometimes, and it's great. Like, I love
Mhm.
investing in new equipment, but you don't have to do that. Obviously, there's some promo distributors that have in-house decoration
Mhm.
capabilities,
Mhm.
but for the most part, our industry, the promo industry, is focused on those frontline sales and building relationships and just really solving problems for their clientele. So, the typical kind of supply chain for promo is they're going to like work with their clients, come up with solutions. They'll reach out to promo suppliers who produce or source from like China or another company these hard goods or wearables. And then oftentimes the suppliers are the ones, the promo suppliers are the ones that are decorating these items. Usually with the apparel industry, it's often a little different, right? There's kind of like a lot of blank suppliers and then contract decorators sort of in the
Mhm.
middle, and then the distributors kind of work with the end clients. But when you're working, especially with like the hard goods, a lot of it is you're working with your client, you reach out to these promo suppliers, and they'll work with you too, right? Like, they're also your partners. So, they can help you find a perfect solution, and they can, get it decorated, and they can help get it shipped out. So it is really about, you don't need to put in some kind of big capital investment to do this. You just need to spend some time kind of deepening your sales relationships with clients you already have. So,
Absolutely. And that's actually kind of an interesting point about the hard goods, because yeah, you are right. Like on the apparel side, it definitely does get handled a little bit differently from time to time. We do see a lot of contract decorators. But then when you look at the hard goods side of the industry, what really comes to mind of this natural connection is my point number 4, which sort of exists more in like that wide format printing space. So a lot of people who have these larger printers are doing, like we mentioned this before, they're already doing banners, signage, things like that. But really, when you boil it down, wide format companies in particular are producing and printing a huge variety of products. And oftentimes that does encompass promotional products. They use their technologies to, definitely print or specialize or customize or whatever specific type of products. So, again, obviously not everybody's doing this. It's not always a good fit. But the point here is that this technology, especially in the wide format commercial printing space, can be used to do quantities of hard goods for promotional products. And that's something to really consider, is not only should you be capitalizing on the wearables and apparel side of things, but also the hard goods side of things. Because like you said, there are plenty of suppliers that are also doing the printing, but are also like wide format companies who can do the printing as well. So it really opens up that door of opportunity to find the right partner.
right. And I mean, and if you think about what has been popular the last few years, like employee welcome kits or things that are sent into your home, you don't want just a t-shirt. You want the
Right.
t-shirt with the matching water bottle and maybe like a little pen or a mug. You know what I mean? Like, you want that whole bundle of goods. You want them all to look, like they work together, that they match. And if you can be the one that provides it all in the wonderful packaging, like, then you are golden, right? So
Right.
you can make that easy for people and get them that really exciting unboxing experience. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the dream right now.
Right.
Um,
Agreed.
Yeah. So my final point is basically, and this is something I think we talk about a lot to our readers already, is that you're selling a service, not a product. Because there is kind of this perception of the industry as being very commoditized. It's just like, oh, you want 10,000 pens, I can get you 10,000 pens. But that's at its best, that's not what promo should be. It is about kind of finding services and solutions to help, people, help your end clients raise their brand reputation, kind of
Mhm.
show goodwill, do whatever it is that they are trying to do with these products. It's all about the service you're providing. Obviously you're selling a means for your client to reach that goal, whether it's to attain new customers, grow brand recognition, increase employee engagement. So any products you sell are in service of the goal. It's not the product in and of itself, right? So emphasizing results and creativity, that can help you charge more, boost your own reputation. I mean, we write about this stuff all the time. We have our promo campaign awards where we kind of highlight some of the most creative things that people in our industry are doing, and they get really fun and creative, But you have that's what takes a little more of the legwork and the effort. There's some really cool custom solutions out there, but you have to think beyond just like putting a logo on a pen, or the client that wants, their business card on the front of a cap. Nobody is actually going to like what that looks like. They may think that's what they want, but I don't think they actually do want that. So,
I agree. Be a partner. Don't just be the person who's like, nah, I'll do it. Sure. Right. That's where the expertise of printers really plays in. And that brings me to my final point, is that that's why the communication between the printers and the distributors should be so, top of mind, prioritized, is because the distributor, or the promo people are working with the clients. They understand what the clients need, and sometimes what the clients say they need is maybe not what they want, right? They have a cool idea, but the distributor can say, hey, look, I know how you can elevate this project. I know how you can make your product's brand stand out way more. But they have to have that thorough understanding of the print process and what the different technologies are capable of in order to execute that. So by making sure we're leaning on each other's knowledge and expertise, that's how you become the best partner and get your customer the best product, the best bang for their buck, right? And
yeah.
it becomes more of a consultative approach rather than just a sure I'll do it approach,
Right,
which is,
right.
you definitely want to be active in those conversations. And I
Yeah, I
think
mean, you should be asking questions, kind of drilling down to what it is they actually want. And
Mhm.
Cassie, what I think is so fun about this list that we just did, and it really kind of illustrates what we've been talking about this whole time, is that yes, we had 10 points, but how many of them converged, right? How many of them were kind of the same?
I know, right? It just like so obvious, the natural connections.
Yeah.
I love
But I think like you said, like there is just a lot of opportunity to partner, to grow,
it.
to kind of just elevate both industries by working together. Um, and so because we are starting this podcast in January, of course we have to have New Year's resolutions, right? That's
Yes.
I mean, maybe it's a cliche and maybe we won't fulfill them. Like, do you do New Year's resolutions every year?
So it's so funny. I don't know that I really define what I do at the beginning of the year as a resolution so much as reflecting on the previous year and what things I considered victories and what things I considered where I want to improve. And so I more look at it as changing my goals based on where I'm at in my life. And so I do more of little goals. Like, for example, for me personally, one of my goals for this year is to live in the moment with my children, because my children are growing up insanely quickly. I know that sounds cliche, but a lot of times, like, they'll be like, hey, mom, can you do this with me? And instantly my brain is like, I have to do the dishes. I have to start the laundry. I need to go out and like shovel the snow off my driveway. Set that aside and be like, yes, I will spend 10 minutes playing a board game with you instead, because those other things can wait.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
it's more of like a conscious awareness of areas in my life I want to improve. So that's my approach to resolutions. I don't know. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the new year definitely just brings me that kind of like I feel refreshed oftentimes because usually I'll have off, around the Christmas and New Year's holiday. and then you come back to work, you come back to regular life, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to tackle this new year. I'm ready to look at everything with a new perspective. I think when I've tried to have very formal resolutions, that usually does not work. Especially if they're like very kind of vague and not smart goals, as everyone
Right.
tries to do. Like, I'm gonna eat healthier. I'm gonna do this much exercise. Or I'm gonna do this. Like, it's too much, too quick,
Yeah.
too soon. But I do think that, starting a new year, it is sort of arbitrary, but I do feel like it gives me a refreshed perspective and a way to kind of like just start chipping at away at things, and just looking at everything with a fresh eyes.
Yeah. No, I really like that approach because I think I read somewhere under 10% of people who make a formal resolution are like are the only under 10% are keeping it past like the month of February.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But with all that said, we're going to do it anyway because
yeah, we are.
it's a podcast. This is what we do. So I think we each have a resolution for our respective industries, and then we kind of have one that's our podcast resolution. So I can start with the resolution for the
Yeah.
promo industry. And this goes back to my, the sustainability drumbeat that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
It's just that I want us to continue to work to elevate the reputation of promo, because there is that those negative stereotypes like brand fill and things where people are already talking about like how I'm not going to accept anything from a trade show. It's just junk. You know what I mean? Like, those conversations are happening.
Mhm.
So it really behooves everyone in the promo industry to be very proactive, looking at ways to focus on long lasting items, sustainability, thoughtful and creative promo items, anything that's going to create these meaningful connections and lasting impressions, which we know that is what promo, when it's done well, that's what it does. But we need to actually be out there kind of tooting our own horn, basically, making sure people know that. And, there is the reputation is there for a reason. So like, we do need to kind of get away from some of the more negative stuff that is like just the throwaway items. There is still some of that in the industry, of course, but there's so much. It's so much more than that. There's so much more creative things. There's so many sustainability related, initiatives happening. So let's continue to elevate that. Let's continue to make that top of mind.
I think that's a great resolution, especially given how many people seemed to have implemented a sustainability plan and then they realized how uphill the battle can be. And then all of a sudden we saw a retraction of some of that. And I think you're right. I think we need to not be afraid of that challenge and not be afraid to get creative and put more thought into it. And I love that as a resolution.
It's a journey, right? Sustainability. We always are saying sustainability is a journey. You can't do it all at once, but it's better to be doing something and be doing it transparently. People are more forgiving if they think that you're sincere and authentic about what you're doing.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to that. It's an investment of your time, but it's an important one. And I really like that. My resolution for the print industry is to keep pushing the envelope.
Sometimes the literal end.
Right. Pun intended. And what I mean by that is sometimes it can be really easy to just fall into the day-to-day grind of you get up in the morning, you look at your print queue and you say, okay, here are the jobs that we're working on today or this week. Let's just knock it out, get it done. And you sort of just fall into this, I don't want to say like ditch, but it can be very easy to just get caught up in the mundane and the everyday. And before you know it, 2025 has passed and you've not achieved any of your fun goals or your good growth goals or anything like that. So I really encourage everyone in the print and even promo industry, find what you're passionate about and relentlessly pursue it. If it's sustainability, find those sustainability goals, pursue them, and make them happen within your business. Find the ways to be unique and different from your competition. Be motivated because that is going to push you to continue to pursue your goals and even challenge others in the industry. Because if there's one thing I've seen, it's when one printer is doing something, all the other printers notice and they're like, oh my gosh, we could totally do that at our shop, but in this way for our customers, So I think don't fall into this trap of staying in the normal traditional everyday. Find something you're passionate about, push the envelope and be unique.
Right. And then we can kind of use that FOMO for good, right?
Right.
Like, I got to do this. Awesome. So then, of course, we wanted to do one resolution that's sort of for the podcast itself. And you wrote this one, but when I saw it, I was like, no, that's the same one I want. So it's kind of what was the resolution we want for our podcast as hosts?
Yeah. So I think it's really important for us to be the connectors, right?
Yeah.
We are the ones to connect people to both industries. And that is a huge goal of the ASI and Alliance partnership is we want to make sure that when you're a distributor who needs, who has print needs them fulfilled, we want to connect you to the perfect partner, the perfect person who can help you. Theresa and I, and even both of our respective companies, the Alliance and ASI, we're here to introduce you to somebody, find a source for you, get you the education you need, whether it's through trade shows. Like I know ASI just wrapped up their first trade show of 2025. Woohoo!
It was from what I've heard. I was not able to go to that one, but it was very successful. So people are eager to learn and connect.
Right. And so that's what we're here to do. So even though we're going to talk about different topics every month on this podcast, ultimately we want to make sure we're in front of all of our listeners, our audience, our readers, and they know that they can contact us personally to help. We're here as a resource.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess one final thing to add is just that I think both of our companies, we're all in on this partnership, right? This is not a short-term thing. This is going to grow. It's going to evolve over time. And we want to make this whole thing work. We want to make sure that this convergence continues to happen and that we want to be here to kind of shepherd it and cultivate these connections. So we're here for the long haul.
Absolutely. And, in that light, certainly we'll be sharing our contact information. Please do check out the show notes for the podcast where you can find ways to connect with us. You can find our various websites. You can get links to education and all of the resources we offer. But, I personally love to field phone calls and emails and LinkedIn messages because that means our community is active and engaged. And that's what we ultimately love to see.
So. Definitely. So it's going to be monthly. So we'll be back in February with another podcast. And we have some of it kind of mapped out already. But like if there's topics that you want us to cover, like definitely reach out and we can kind of work it into our schedule.
Absolutely. Well, awesome. Yep. As Theresa said, reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, we will see all of you on the road and all of you next month in February.